If you're struggling when trying to find a trade or when to enter or identifying a good setup, this episode's for you. I'm going to cover everything you always wanted to know about VWAP, RSI, ORBs, and more. I'm going to show you how to use all of them together to give you the best opportunity at winning that trade. This is good stuff. This is what I use every single day, and it works really well. So welcome to Beyond the Trade Special Edition. Adam's out this week doing God only knows what. Probably involves making money, though. Good luck, bud. Before we get going, remember, Beyond the Trade is for educational entertainment purposes only. Nothing you hear should be taken as financial advice. Always do your own research and consult a professional before making investment decisions. All right, let's get into it here. So indicators, I was trying to figure out the best way to do this, and I'm just going to go through these slides quickly, and then we'll get into actually putting it to work on some charts so you can see how it all works. But just to make sure that those that don't know how some of these things are calculated, when you see them on your screen, I've used VWAP since day one and never really understood exactly how it worked until I looked into it about a year ago, and it's a pretty powerful indicator. So let's just go through them here. What I'm going to do on the video is hopefully show you guys how VWAP actually works, how it can help you, how to use the 5-minute opening range, or as I just refer to it as ORB. OR is opening range, B is the breakout or balance. Some people call it open range balance. RSI, another one of my favorite opportunities for looking for entrance and exits on trades. But there's a couple of ways to use it, and we'll get into that. I use it a little bit differently, and a simple SPY option playbook at the end that we'll kind of go through SPY and look at some setups, go from there and see how these indicators actually worked. VWAP it can be confusing. The first thing to know is every day it resets on the first candle. So it doesn't carry over from pre-market yesterday. Every day it starts again fresh. And the key to it is it's volume weighted. Okay. So you have an average price all day. It's easy to say, oh, where these last 10 candles closed. If I take that number divided by 10, that's the average. That's not the way VWAP works. It's giving you the price where the most volume was. So in an example, I guess the best way to put it is if price is above VWAP, you should consider it a bullish market. If it's below VWAP, bearish. And because the VWAP line is giving you that average, and why would you want to enter a trade when the price is currently way above VWAP? So the price is above where the weighted volume average price should be. And the reason it's so powerful is big money uses it as an indicator to when to sell, when to buy. So you've got brokerage firms out there with hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. They're trading for people. And as a customer, if you're looking at, okay, they sold these 500,000 shares that I wanted them to sell for me, where did they sell them at? And you see that they sold them way below VWAP, you would be questioning your broker as to why were you selling when the price was so low compared to where the volume weighted average was. Same above, if the order was to buy, and they were buying it and it was way above where VWAP is indicating the volume weighted price should be, I would be questioning, why are you buying so far out of this range? So it's very big and very important, especially when it comes to the big money guys. So how do you use it? Treat it as a dynamic support resistance. It's like a magnet. The way I was taught was always think of VWAP as a magnet. Price wants to get back to it. That's where the volume was buying at that particular price. Yes, it moves above, below, it moves all over the place as far as the current price versus VWAP, but that gives you a pretty good indication of where's a fair price for you to get into. You should only look for longs above VWAP, shorts below. There's a caveat to that, as some traders will fade VWAP, and that goes into back to the orb in a way that if the orb is very big, if the opening range is huge, and sometimes that happens, there's traders that will play it in between those lines and don't really care where VWAP is, but it's very important. Pay attention to it. 3, avoid trades when price chops around VWAP. So if it's every other candle's touching the VWAP line, pretty good indication of chop. It's the average price. It's where all the volume was and where they bought it. So you can't really expect much of a move off that point. There's another VWAP out there called anchored VWAP, and I'm no expert on that. I have been recently reading a book that covers anchored VWAP. And the big difference is regular VWAP every morning on the first candle, it starts from zero. It starts fresh. Anchored VWAP, let's say 3 weeks ago, there was earnings and there was a giant move, gap up, gap down. With anchored VWAP, you can attach the VWAP to that candle and let it run for a week, a month, a year, however long you want to let it run. And what it's going to show you is who's winning, who's losing. So it extends the time period. And if price is below the anchored VWAP, whoever got in long at that time is definitely going to be upside down. I mean, it's something we can get into on another video. If you want more details on it, we'd be happy to cover it. But there's a book out there that somebody had turned me on to. It's called Maximum Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP by Brian Shannon. I'll put a link down in the description for that if anybody's interested in it, or if you'd like us to get into it, just let us know and we'll do our best. So let's get down to the opening range, the orb. This is one of my favorites. I love the orb. There's a indicator that you can upload into TradingView that'll do this all for you, or you can do it manually. I have used the first 5 minutes on SPY from 9:30 to 9:35 to set your opening range. I have recently changed that where I still use a 5-minute chart. However, I've changed the parameters on the orb indicator to 15 minutes. So it looks at the first 3 candles before it gives me the high and the low. And the only reason I've used them both all along, but I always had it set at the 5-minute where it draws its line. And I just find it easier to let it draw the 15-minute high, low, because it's much easier for me to just go back and look at what the very first candle versus going back and going, is it the second or third or fourth? So I'm hunting for the third candle on a 5-minute chart to find the 15 minutes. So I changed it and it just makes it a little bit easier and quicker. But what it does is it's going to mark whether it's a 5-minute or a 15-minute opening range balance. It's going to take the wicks into consideration, and it's going to give you a line at the very top and the very bottom of the wick, and that's your range. Consider that like the battleground. You're looking at that every morning going, okay, if I'm in that range, and it's a small range most times, unless there's something that accelerates that stock right off at the bell, either up or down, the range is small, and it becomes, if you're staying inside of it, it ends up being pretty well just chop until it decides to break out. The entries, you want to go long. 5-minute candle closes above the opening range, you'd want to look at a long position. If it closes under, you want to look at a short position. But the value really comes when you start using VWAP with RSI, with the orb with VWAP and RSI, and you start stacking filters together. It can really, really change the way you trade. Been amazing. There is no one. I mean, you can stack 20 indicators and wait for all 20 of them to come in alignment. Still doesn't mean you're going to win a trade. I mean, we never know. But RSI is my next one, and I added this flashing text on there right before I started doing this. I forgot that if you don't have extended hours turned on, the value you get on RSI is not going to be correct. I went through this with my son. I'm yelling out, our RSI setup, and he doesn't see it. He's like, what are you talking about? And we realized that it's tied to having the extended hours on. And the reason is it uses basically 14 candles prior to set its value. Its value is from 0 to 100 on a scale, with 50 being the center line. That's, consider that the flat line. There's nothing, it's not indicating long, it's not indicating short if it's at 50. So if it gets above 55, it typically will indicate there's an up move coming. If it gets below 45, indicates there's a down move coming. And if you use it as a strength filter, not a reversal button is what it says there. However, when we get into the charts here, I'm going to show you something that I use that kind of doesn't agree with that statement. And it's what really changed trading for me in a lot of ways was, yeah, well, we'll get into that here in a minute. When it helps, trend longs, prices above VWAP, and the RSI is above 55, you pretty well can show that it's going to, the price is going to start heading into an upward trend. And just the same with short trends, prices below VWAP, and the RSI is under 45. So watch for divergences at key levels. That's also a key. Don't ignore what's on your chart already. If you have levels, and let's say, for example, it's VWAP, the price is under VWAP and RSI is under 45, I'm going to go short. But right there, you have a key level where the stock has bounced 4 or 5 times already and changed directions. I mean, VWAP's not changing anything. RSI's not changing anything. It's just giving you an indication. So if you see other things close to those levels, you want to be cautious and do your thing a little bit differently at that point. So as the SPY, 5-minute setup, this is what I trade mostly. And again, if you're not aware, I am a options trader that pretty much day trades. Yes, I do get into some that are maybe a month, 2, 3 months out, but in all honesty, it's rare that I'm holding options overnight. And if so, they've got a lot of time left on them, excuse me. So my stock or my SPY 5-minute setup is right before open. I'm looking to see gap up, gap down, what economic news might be coming out this morning. I've got my chart set to a 5-minute chart, and at open, I'm waiting on the orb to set. So I'm waiting 5 to 15 minutes. Usually it's 15 minutes, unless there's some massive move or something like that. And then I'm focusing on the orb once it sets. So after 15 minutes, it's giving me its upper range, lower range. Now I'm looking at where is VWAP going after those first 3 candles and what is RSI doing. So that's how I get started. But it doesn't mean that I jump into a trade. There's days I don't trade anything. If I don't see anything I like, I'm not getting in. If you see price stuck between the opening range high and the opening range low, I'm usually waiting. I'm holding back, especially if VWAP is running right in the middle of that. There's nothing happening. If RSI is hovering right in the middle, 45 to 55, it's indicating there's no solid direction that it wants to go. And again, if there's major news incoming, whether it's FOMC, CPI, days where you're going to have earnings and other stuff for employment numbers, those days you need to be cautious and usually wait until after that news comes out before you go crazy. So what I would suggest to anybody after watching this on the charts is do some back testing. If you don't know how to do it, I mean, we'd love to do a video on that as well. But if you're using TradingView, back testing is pretty simple. You can go to any point in time and I randomly will just spin the wheel and throw the chart back so I have no idea what's going on, or pick a stock that I don't normally watch. Go back 3 days, 5 days, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. Set your indicators and set your levels. Then see how well they're working for you. What I do and what we're going to go through in this video may not work for everybody unless you trade exactly like me. And I think everybody trades a little different. So I wouldn't expect that everybody gets the same results. You need to be cautious. You need to be smart. And if you're looking to buy commons long term, you're not using a 5-minute chart. You're probably using an hourly to a daily or weeklies, and you've got levels set. So again, those all become very different from what I do. And this video is pretty much tied to option trading, and scalping options, basically, or 1-day trades in and out. Trade small while you build confidence. This is all new to you. Don't go in if you say, I usually buy 10 contracts at a time. Don't buy 1 or 2. Let the indicators tell you that you made the right move and limp in. Buy 2, then buy 2 more, then go from there. But don't take it as I'm going to put these things on my chart and I'm going to make money with it. It's just not how it works. So, all right, let me change my screen here and we'll get into actual chart. God, I hope everybody sees this. If not, this video is for nothing. All right, here we go. So what are we on? We're on Amazon. All right. So if you're not using TradingView, I mean, all these indicators are pretty much available on any platform. I use TradingView and Thinkorswim at the same time. I have multiple charts up on Thinkorswim on one screen, and I have TradingView up on another. What I would do is, and this was kind of interesting because I always have these indicators on, but I turned them all off for this purpose. And one of the ones that we haven't talked about, kind of a bonus, I guess, for this video is Ripster's EMA clouds. They work so well. I wouldn't do a video on it because there's so many videos out there, and he's done several himself that really goes into great detail and explains it. But when I turn that on, the first thing that should pop out to anybody's head is this big red ribbon going down. And okay, what is it telling me? Well, it's giving me a trend, and that's basically what is that one? I think it's the 12, the 512 ribbon. But they're all color indicated. So it's red on this ribbon basically indicates it's in a downtrend. Well, that's not giving me a whole lot just looking at that one. But when I turn on VWAP, what happens? Okay. And the VWAP app that I'm using, or the indicator I'm using, I just have it set that when it's on an incline, it's green. When it's trending down, it's red. And it's just, again, a quick visual. It doesn't have to do that, but it stands out for me, and I know what it means for myself. So if I'm looking at VWAP is in a red downward trend, this ribbon is in a red downward trend, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be in a downward trend. I mean, let's be honest. So now let me turn on the orb. And that's the power of all three of them working together. So I've got my opening range, which is the first candle, high wick, third candle, low wick, and it sat there for 20 minutes, didn't move off of it. When it broke, I've got VWAP turning down. I've got my cloud is red. And yeah, there's some junky moves in here, but this is the candle that I would be looking to get into. One, it's the candle that's opening actually off the bottom of the orb, giving me a solid look at there's definitely a downtrend. Now there's a little chop in here, but this thing plays out just great. And if we go to RSI, this is one of the reasons why you don't always have to let RSI tell you what's happening. I think you need to, it just takes time. But RSI right there is indicating it's already been oversold, so it should be coming up. But everything else up here, when you get two or three of these indicators that come together, it's power, absolute powerful. And this was, I think, Amazon on Friday. Yeah. So just saying, but Acro, you said we were going to do a SPY 5 minutes. So let me move over to SPY. It's also Friday. Yeah. And let's turn these off real quick. Got a clean chart. If we look back, what's going on? Not a whole lot after hours. But when we come to the open, we get a very similar situation, obviously, as Amazon, same day. But I don't know exactly what's my bias at this point, this early in the morning. Not real sure yet. But when I throw on the ribbon, when I throw on VWAP, then I throw on the orb, look at that, very similar. Yes, opening range high, opening range low. We sat there for 15 minutes on it. If I'm getting in this play, I'm getting in right there. That's the first candle opening off the opening range. And you would have had a great day. You may have gotten taken out here. Depends on what your risk reward is and how much you're willing to risk. But this was one heck of a play that went on for the rest of the day. Giving you this to indicate what direction should I go, when should I get in. You'll get a lot of them that'll bounce here, bounce back up to the top of the orb, and they sit there and do that all day long. Well, there's not much you can do. You know, there are plays when the orb has more separation to it. You can fade it where it comes down, it touches the bottom orb, it slowly moves up, it hits the top orb, it slowly moves down. If the range is big enough, you can definitely fade it and play it. I've done it a few times, I think last week. But yeah, I mean, it's an option. And again, RSI did not come into much play here. Let's see if we can find a good one. Tesla usually moves pretty good. Let's just back up a bunch of days. Random. All right. Okay, so this is December 8th, Monday. Same thing. There's your 15-minute orb. And what happens? It comes down. Of course, there's the first candle, second one comes up, bounces, and it hovers here. It doesn't clearly break the lower range until 10:30. So that's an hour of bouncing around in there. But at 10:30, it breaks. There's my red ribbon. VWAP is coming down. RSI is already under, indicating oversold. But if you'd have got in on that candle on Tesla, I mean, my God, you probably wouldn't have thought about getting out till somewhere in there. Trying to find one that gives, here's one so okay, talk about a day of chop. Here's your opening range. We sat there all day, not a single candle broke out. There was absolutely no reason to get in there and trade that. VWAP completely flat. Again, RSI, which we haven't talked that much about, is sitting there right near the 50. I guess I should explain this on the RSI. This very top line is the 70. The very bottom line is the 30. Even though it goes from 0 to 100, this is the range of most interest. This white dash line in the center is 50. That's common ground. That's neutral. So when I said there's ways to use RSI, that you can reverse and try to predict the change in momentum, is this. When I see, and it's not doing it on this chart, but when it indicates and breaks over, it's indicating basically that the stock has been overbought. More shares have gone out. When it breaks below the green line or below the 30, it's indicating oversold. So you're thinking, okay, well, it's oversold. Now it's time for people to buy. And that's exactly it. Same with overbought. People are going to start selling it. If you look at it that way, biggest rule, and let's see if I can find one. This kind of works on this one. You see that RSI breaks up above the 70, and on the indicator I'm using, it turns red when it breaks out. So, and that's this big green candle here. It broke out. It technically breaks back on this one. However, the next candle is, again, right back up to the top. When we finally get to here, you see that it did turn red. It slightly broke through, but I wait for that candle to close, the next candle. If the next candle closes back in range, then I'm looking to get in for the reversal, which would have been getting in here, and you'd have a nice little play right back down to. When would I get out? Well, opening range. The top of the orb is right there. VWAP is right there. I mean, that's kind of the power as to why, excuse me, why it stopped right there. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it right there. This was the opening range, which kind of sets a precedence. VWAP is sitting right there again. They're actually converging all at the same spot. So that's kind of the three main ones. The give you kind of a bonus, I guess, is, and you can take a screenshot of these, or if anybody wants to know exactly which ones these are, leave a comment and I'll be sure to put them in there and respond to you. But the extended session high-low, it's like money in the bank. In this case, I mean, look how close it aligns to the orb. But there's days, this was Friday, turn it off. So that's not the one extended session. This one's not a good example either, I guess. Not a big enough spread. But there's many days where you'll turn that on and the stock just stops. This might have actually been Friday on SPY. Well, it did. There's our low, but I'm not sure if this is a glitch candle or not, but it's showing that was the low on pre-market on Friday. And our high is actually right here underneath. This was all-time highs. So it set a new all-time high Thursday night. This isn't a really good example either. But again, so if you're using VWAP, you use the orb, that's giving you 2 levels. You use extended session high-low, that gives you 2 levels. You've got 4 levels already set for you based on very current information. That gives you a big head start on the day. Fade it, or not fade it, I'm sorry, if it breaks through the bottom, you're given a short indication. If it goes over the top, you should be getting a long indication. And the more you look at it and get used to looking at these on a chart, the easier it becomes to see setups. SPY on Friday was monster. I mean, if I analyze this one down, okay, it sitting right here, it breaks through. I'm in this play. And again, depending on your tolerance, you probably would have made it through this. If not, you would have sold maybe half, waiting. The next candle again breaks down. That's a huge move in a day. And all this stuff, I don't care about it anymore. After that move, you would have made enough money here that you'd have been turning off your computer at noon, going to lunch and not looking back. So anyway, in a nutshell, that's it. Any questions, please leave them in the comments. And anything else you'd like to see, we'd be happy to do it. I don't know if I explained that fully to y'all because I'm so used to using them, but if there's any confusion, just let me know, and I'll try to clear it up for you. All right.